Good Monday morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is Monday, the 17th of March, and happy St. Patrick's Day to if I have any Irish followers. It's probably going to be a blast as usual. This video is for educational purpose only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. It is only to show you how I apply a technical analysis to trading, how I try to read the charts using basic technical analysis, and a little bit advanced also, of course. Today we'll start with Nvidia, that has bounced quite strongly since its massive sell-off. And we could see it bounce a little bit stronger here the next few days, possibly up to around the 200 moving average, which is currently around 127, 128, but here we also have the 55 moving average coming down, kind of giving a pressure from the upper side, and we also have the cloud to give us a little bit of an overhead resistance. However, we do have the RSI. If it can close back above 60 threshold, it could maybe push higher. Also, we can see that the MACD and the signal lines here, they're crossing over, and that could give it a little bit of further boosting higher. However, it needs to close above 135 on a daily to really establish a bullish trend. Moving on to the overall market and S&P 500, it did what we call a price flip Friday, where it was a strong bullish move. First of all, it gapped higher, so to speak, at the opening after closing lower Thursday, and I think we could maybe have a bit of a bounce, possibly up to around the 200 moving average, which is currently around the 5,740 level, maybe up to 5,783, maybe 5,800. However, if it takes out the lows from Friday, downtrend could resume, and it will be confirmed to resume if it takes out the Thursday low at 5,504 with a push lower below 5,400 there. Here pre-market, we are early session. Very early session. This video is recorded a little bit earlier than usual, but you can see here pre-market a little bit lower back. This is not something I will worry too much about. What I will do, I will add a Fibonacci just very quickly, say okay, then we could see a push up to, you see these 38.2 is more or less at the same level as the 200 moving average here on the CFD the future. And we have Nasdaq 100 also price flipped bullish, and could push also here in the coming days up to 20,265. If it takes out last week's lows, then the downtrend will resume, and we can see here on the future in the CFD, it is bouncing, and I think we could see it bounce up to around the 200 moving average, which is currently around 2,281. We have the Dow Jones, also a price flip to bullish Friday. I think we could see a push up to around 42,000 and maybe up to 42,500 area. Again, if it takes out last week's lows, then a downtrend resumes. On the European market and EuroStoxx50, strong bounce Friday, also still above 5,300 and 5,285. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, didn't close below 40 threshold, and that is key. So first of all, it didn't close below 40 threshold, and market stayed above the support area here, so we could see further bounce in the week ahead. But keep an eye on these levels there. If they take them out, then we have a different situation. Then we have a bearish situation. Here we have the EuroStoxx50 CFD future bouncing from the 5,313 support, and it's still holding on in a kind of a bullish mode. DAX strong into the week last week, back above the rising trend line. That is not just, it's merely a guideline in this case. It could continue higher. However, here pre-market we're down about 0.25%, but it's not really something to talk about. What we should keep an eye on is that if RSI can close back above 60 threshold and back above its falling trend line there, then we could see possibly a push to maybe get a new highs here in the coming week or maybe weeks. So keep an eye on that. Euro dollar Still below 109.5 resistance area. It was exactly 109.35, but spiked a little bit above. So we are still in a correction phase, but if it takes out the highs here from last week at 109.50, I always add a little bit. So you can see 109.47, then add a little bit, at least a couple of pips. Then if it takes out that, well, then there's potential to 111. But we are a little bit stressed here on the indicators, but let's see, there's not much of a divergence, there's really none, so we should see higher levels on your dollar, but there's still a risk of a correction down to around 107.60, 107 and a quarter, which is the 38.2 retracement and the 200 moving average. On the sterling dollar cable has been more or less been trading sideways, also stalling a little bit, but there should be room up to 130.5, where we have some resistance and we have some support here down around 128. Euro sterling corrected almost 38.2, retracement at 83.70, peeping just below the 200 moving average and bounced. If it can take out the peak up here at 84.5, then we could see it push higher. If it takes out the lows here from last week at 83.70, well, then we could see it push down to at least 83.5, maybe 83.25. Dollar yen still in this declining channel here, or falling trend, dancing around the 148.65 key resistance, and just to reiterate, we can see here on the weekly why it's such a key level. It is because it was such a strong support, and now it's a strong resistance where it's dancing around. So let's see if it can actually get back above it. I mean, it has spiked above a couple of times, but I mean, there is correction potential to 151.25, which is the 38.2 of the entire downtrend here, but it's fairly strong resistance where we also have the 55, the 100 and the 200 moving averages coming down. So maybe we'll just take it a slow here and trying to get back above the upper falling trend line. So let's see here next couple of days. If it takes out 146.50 lows there, well, then downtrend is resuming or continuing actually. The euro yen is above the cloud, is above the 100 moving average, closed nicely above. If we can get back above the fall trend line and 200 moving average, which maybe could, but the thing is, RSI hasn't closed above 60 threshold, so it's not really supporting this this move here. So I will still wait and see a little bit. But if it takes out these spikes here at 162.35, no, let's say 162.40, always add a little bit, well, then I think we will see a push higher towards 164, 165. Aussie yen still in this correction mode here. Is it a little double bottom? It needs to be confirmed by taking out the 94.75, and then there's potential up to 96, 97. If it slides back and takes out the 91.79, well, then downtrend is resuming. And sterling yen still in this corrective phase here, for it's drawing like a ascending triangle-like pattern. Needs to get above 193.20 or take out the lows here around 188. Aussie dollar this morning here, early session, is testing the 786 retracement at 63.60 again. If it can really take it out, but it seems to be struggling. We're still negative sentiment, hasn't broken above 60 threshold, but if it can take it out, that peak there at 63.65, then I think we could see a test of 64 and these peaks here, and if it takes out that, well, then we are looking at levels here at 65.50, where there's a bit of stronger resistance. On the dollar Canada, taking a sideways trading here the past week or so, still needs to get above 145.50 or below the 142.30, but then we have some strong supports here. There's around 141.50, 141 area. I still favor the upside because we have positive sentiment on the RSI. No divergence, but I want to see a break and a confirmation to the upside before I really go in on this. Sterling Canada in correction mode. we should see a correction down to around 183.45 in this region here, where we have some support. We have the 38.2 retracement. However, if it takes out the previous peak here at 187.80, well, then there's potential much higher. But for now, indicators are telling us we are a bit of a uptrend exhaustion mode. On the Swiss franc, still same situation with Euro Swiss. It's a little bit frustrating. Yes, it did make higher highs, so we should trust the trend, but it's really struggling now just to push really higher. And the RSI is not really supporting higher levels. So if it takes out 94.90 here, then expect a collapse down to 94 and 93 and a half back in this region down here. But for now, we are still in a bullish trend, so trust the trend. Keep an eye on these lows here from a couple of days ago. From 13th of March at 95.60. If it takes out that, well, then this one can come under pressure down here. Let's remove that. It's just noise. Dollar Swiss still trying to bounce. It got up to the 38.2 of the last leg down there. It should be able to get up to the 61.8 retracement 89.30, but we're still negative sentiment. There's no divergence, and if it starts sliding back below the 200 moving average, we could see the support here at 87.60 area could come under pressure, and if it does, then I think we'll push below 87 and possibly down to the 86.15. The dollar index has bounced, started to bounce, but then again Friday very close to testing the support here at 103.28 and the previous lows. And I think if it takes it out, well, then we are looking at levels in the region around 102, 101.85. But other than that, if it takes out Thursday and Friday's peaks here around 104, 810 ish, then we could see a push up to 104.88 at least, where we have a little bit stronger resistance. Gold Friday just peaked above 3,000 for the first time ever, 3,005 almost, and that will be interesting to watch today, because will we get a negative candle? It's open and trading almost unchanged, but if we do get a negative candle today, then we will have a top reversal pattern in place. But we are above the RSI is above 60 threshold. It is above the falling channel or the falling trend line there. So we are in a bullish trend. It is supported. There is a little bit divergence, but there is potential higher. If we're looking at the weekly chart, if it can open here. Let's just zoom in on that. We can see we are in a bullish trend. Yes, there is divergence, but there is potential up to 3,013. And many weeks ago, on months ago, I did show you this pattern here on the monthly chart. We had this cup with a handle, and it gave potential to 3,100, almost 200% of that. It's quite unusual if it reached all the way, but it already reached 786 projection. It already reached 61.8 projection. So there is potential higher to 3,100 in the medium term here on gold. On silver. Silver is a little bit different though, but as we can see here, we are very close to the 138.2 projection here on the daily. So had a strong move towards and above 34. A little bit stressed, but I think we will see it pushing higher. But we can also see where we are in terms of resistance area here. We have the monthly again. We are in the region here around 34.5, 35.5, where we have some strong resistance. So do expect some struggling to get up there, but I think we will get higher here in the coming weeks. The copper future Friday pushed also higher, but then collapsed a little bit. Didn't get all the way up to 500. Let's move on to the weekly chart so we can see also what's going on here. And we have been looking at this for so many times. It is in a bullish trend. No divergence on the RSI, pushing higher, and I think we will see it reaching previous peaks here at 525 eventually. When? Well, it will take some weeks, but again, with the markets going on at the moment, there could still be some suddenly strong moves. And again, we are in a bullish trend, higher highs and higher lows. So keep an eye on also those support levels we have, where it turns around 463. Then we are likely to see a correction phase. On the energy side, and WTI crude oil this morning testing a resistance there at 68.42. If it can get above it, and I think it will eventually, then we'll see a push up to 70 and 71 in a bit, which is 38.2 retrace on the entire downtrend there. That will be a strong statement also for a turnaround here on the weekly RSI above 40 threshold, but it's actually negative sentiment. We are in a bearish trend, but we could see a strong bounce there on WTI. And Brent crude oil, obviously almost similar, bouncing very close to the 72 resistance, but if we adjusting this a little bit here, we can see it actually touched the 38.2 retracement of this downtrend here at 71.71 and then got rejected. If it is having another go and breaks above 72, then I think we will be looking at 73.78 level, and we can see the strong support down here just below 68, just around 68 level. The European gas, Dutch TTF gas is in a wait-and-see position. It needs to break above 43.68 to gain some further momentum up to around 47.30. If it takes out the lows here from the 13th of March at 40, and I know it's 40 spot 18, but I'll say 40, then I expect a push down to these lows here around 37.5, 36 again. And finally, the US nat gas, Henry Hub gas, bounced off the 786 retracement, which we talked about late last week, could bounce further towards the 4.5 level, but this top end reversal was pretty strong, and we could slide lower if it takes out the lows here from last week at 395. Well, then we're looking at 375. Yields and US 10-year Treasury yields, well, still in this correction phase here, still negative sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, and dancing around the 38.2 retracement here at 430 up and down, and it can't really make up its mind. Resistance at 440, obviously. The previous support could bounce all the way up to 445, but there we will have some resistance going on, and if it starts sliding back below the 200 moving average, I think the support down here at 412, 410 will come under pressure. The two-year also in bouncing mode, but it's not that supportive. But I think we could see it taking out 4%, 405, which is the 38.2 retracement. We can also see the RSI crawling back above 40 threshold, but it's still in negative sentiment. But the MACD, which I haven't talked that much about, but still it starts turning around here. And could give it a little bit of support in this bounce. On the European yields, we have the EU 10-year yield tried once again at the previous peak there, 294, but failed Friday. So we could see a correction down to maybe 272, 270, but key is 265, the red one here. Then if it moves back below that, then we'll start closing this gap. But for now, we are still in a fairly strong bullish trend and no divergence indicating likely higher levels. The UK 10-year, well, dancing sideways, and it needs to take out the peak here from about a week ago at 479, 480, and the support here at 458. And cryptocurrencies and the Bitcoin, really not much to say, still dancing sideways here. For direction, well, we are talking about 77,000 and 555. That's the low there. Then we're looking at the 73,000 area. It's trying to bounce further, but it's still in a bearish trend. We can see lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, and so on. And that's how it is. You see lower low, lower high, lower low. And will we get a lower high in this region here? That is, of course, difficult to say. So for now, I'll stay on the sideline a little bit. It seems like it's just taking a breather, can't make up its mind. Ethereum, same thing, 1700. 1755. If it takes out that support, well, then we're looking 1500 level. It really needs to get back above 2100 for a correction higher. All right, that's all for today, this Monday, and there will be a little bit a variation in when I post these videos because I have some other engagement I need to take care of, and so I hope you bear with me. All right, I'm wishing you a nice day and talk to you again later.